I think I might bring it down a little bit, dear colleagues, but you get me twice in 1 week, which that's good or bad. I leave that up to you. Today I'd like to speak up to an inquiry that I have no doubt resonates with all of us in one way, shape, or form. I acknowledge and am so deeply grateful to Senators Marty Deakin and Marnie McBean and Senatrice Petitclerc for their inquiry on the vital role of physical activity and sport. I'm extremely humbled to be sharing my experience through sport and being an athlete in an inquiry with these Olympic-level public servants. And I thank them for their leadership and for here in the Senate and for their Herculean, heroic efforts as in the Olympic sports and sports across our great country. You inspired a nation time and time again, each of you, so thank you. And so for me, where to begin? It's a tough one for me today. I'm going to be a bit more personal today, and I am not comfortable. Sport has been a part of my life, my family life, my community life, my work life through the darkest of times, to many euphoric times, and some of the more challenging times. And so I'd like to frame what I'm going to speak about in advance so you know what's coming. You can make your judgment now. I promise not to speak too long, but no, Chatty Cathy will probably rule. Today I want to lean into leadership as a beginning. I would like to then jump into community and sport and share a story about a community that I will never, ever forget. I would like to run full steam into the empowerment of sport and being an athlete myself in my own sort of little way. And finally, I'd like to cycle through impact and health and well-being of sport. That's as funny as I'm going to get. So you got it with the other senator. I think for leadership, I'm just simply going to use quotes here. How about it's a team sport? I overuse these 4 words all the time. This Senate is a team sport. Family is a team sport. Marathoning is a team sport. Team sport is how life is lived, whether you know it or not. And when it is not a team sport, I think that's when it can be hard. Quoting. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Thank you, African proverb, because that describes the epitome of team sport. I have this bracelet that I wear all the time. It's not a prop. It's just a bracelet. It's a gift from an amazing team that we worked together many years ago, and we chanted that proverb, and on the inside it reads, far together. Quote, the hardest part is getting to the start line, then trust in your training and get to the finish line. As a former marathoner, that was my mantra in running and also in all the work I've had the privilege of doing in my lifetime. Trust in your training. Do the work to get to the start line. Do the due diligence to get to the start line. The race is to the start line. The rest is strategy and some added fuel and adjustment along the way. So let's do some sports quotes too. Pat Burns. You don't cry because it's over. You're happy because it happened. Unless you're a Leaf fan, then you're just crying.
That's dirty.
I know. Hockey is a metaphor for life. You have to be willing to get knocked down and get back up. I say that's what bravery is, getting up. Or how about a quote from the great Paralympic athlete, Senatrice Petitclerc. To me, quoting, this is the ultimate proof that if you have a strong commitment to your goals and dreams, if you wake up every day with a passion to do your job or your sport, everything is possible. That's grit and determination. It's in your hands. How about from Olympic athlete and Senator McBean? And I love this one, short to the point. It's about hope is an attitude. Here's a quote. It's a good day to have a good day. And then there's Olympic chef de mission, Senator Deakin. Quote, failure is not a weakness, but a process. Failure is feedback. The goal is to fail in practice, learn what happened, fix it, and show up better the next day. Quote, there is a lot of remarkableness in the unremarkable. My dad used to say that all the time. And then he'd say, just look for it. Too bad he didn't say just do it. We could have maybe coined that phrase later. But here's the thing about sports quotes. They're all about courage and grit and team and humility and seeing beyond yourself. Okay, so now I've pumped myself up with some encouraging quotes. I've given myself some confidence. I'm going to move to the personal side of sports in me. And I've said 14 times I'm not comfortable. However, it's a good day to have a good day. And I'm going to jump into community and sports. My dad was transferred from Winnipeg, Blue Bombers all the way, to a small town, sorry folks from Saskatchewan and Hamilton, but I moved to a small town outside of Hamilton called Dunnville. I always hated that name, but I lived there. We settled there for quite a few years. Side note, politics and team sport. My dad ran to be a candidate for the Haldimand-Norfolk riding, a conservative candidate. And I was self-appointed brand and marketing manager. I was 10. I had an excellent chant and song in my marketing strategy. Remarkable, really. Thanks to Aerosmith. You may remember the song. I changed the words a little bit. It was Walk This Way, Vote Jack Hay. Yeah, and he lost. And so now I want to introduce you to my brother, John Douglas Hay, a kind, shy, not-so-great student, my older brother. I was bossy. He was patient. We went everywhere together. We lived in the country, so our bikes were everything to us. The cornfield, an amazing place for hide and seek. When John started high school, he was not very big. He was not very tall. He was not very confident. He was an even-keeled kind of kid and plodded along, but he was fast. I was faster, but he was pretty fast. And he was humble, so me talking about him here, not good. In grade 9, he tried out for the high school football team, the Dunnville Panthers. It's a big deal in Dunnville, not exactly Friday Night Lights, but a big deal. He almost made the cut. Then something happened between grade 9 and 10. John had a growth spurt. And if any of you met my son for my swearing in, John got that tall and that big in a year, and he was still pretty fast. School was not easy for John. He kept pushing forward. He had a great work ethic. He had that in spades, so he made his way through. He tried out again, and he made the cut. John was a running back, number 11, third string. John was still shy, a quiet teen, and sport gave him something that unlocked so much. It gave him a community. It gave him permission to take risks. It gave him confidence. And in that, the not-so-great student found something in school that he was great at, like really great, computer science. In that very early days of computer, and hold on to that thought for later. Perhaps that's why I love the down-and-out underdog sports stories. We lived it. The Panthers were average. Win some, lose more. The coaches, they never gave up. High school football coach, 2 community members, Dan Dalmage, former Ticat, dentist, and yep, Jack Hay. I offered to do marketing for the team. It was a polite, hard no. John was never a star. Not a popular jock. He was a workhorse player, but he did catch a few in the end zones. And in grade 13, underdogs, the Dunnville Panthers beat out our nemesis, the Cayuga Wildcats, for the championship. This was something. My brother was on a championship team with my dad as the sidekick coach. There was even a parade. John tried out for the Ticat summer camp that summer. He didn't make it, but as you can imagine, John didn't fuss about that kind of stuff. He always just dusted off and kept trying to get into the next play. Sport had still done something for him that shaped him so well. He belonged to this community, and he had confidence. He got accepted into Western, into one of the first computer science programs ever there, and he absolutely thrived. In second year, he was well beyond what was being taught in the class, and he already was working in research design labs. He also made the varsity football team, the Mustangs, the Western Mustangs, third string. At the end of second year, in May, March 23rd, John died in a car crash on his way back to work from having lunch with his girlfriend. A family devastated, a community shocked, and a community that rallied around. And that is why I wanted to tell this story. I rarely ever talk about this, not publicly anyway, and here's what I'll never forget. As my brother's funeral was ending, and it was that heart-wrenching moment where you all have to leave and follow John out. And I remember that as being so hard and so terrifying, like, he can't go, not alone. And that's where the community of sport took care of that. Every single one of his Dunnville Panther teammates from grade 10 with their jackets on came up the center and both the aisles of the church and walked in front, walked us out, all of them. So he wasn't alone. His footprints through his short life, on the field and off, mattered. His footprints remain. I have never, ever forgotten how a community of sport unlocked all of my brother's potential. And I have never forgotten how that community of sport was there for him until the very end. On a side note, I'm going to pause. On a side note, many years later, I was at Western for a meeting. A couple of years after the Pan Am Games in 2001, and they'd built this amazing sports stadium, and I was wandering about. And for their campaign, they sold bricks for $2,001 for the year. I thought that was smart. And it had finished. It was a few years after that, and I asked, could I buy one and put my brother's name on a brick in this stadium where theoretically he had played? They couldn't. Everything was complete. They didn't know where the bricks were. Here's the thing, community of sport. A few months later, out of the blue, I totally forgot. The Western team called to say they'd figured out how to get a brick, and they could do it. Did I want it? And I'm like, yeah, I want it. My mom, my sister, and I figured out what we wanted on the brick, and now my brother's name lived there. And here's the fun fact. Remember, he was an early adopter of the world of computer science. Remember, that campaign was already closed. John had died 20-plus years before then. There would be no way for this to have been orchestrated, none. It's just serendipitous. It's how things happen. When we went to see it, there's John Douglas Hay, his brick. Two pretty large bricks on each side. One was Microsoft and the other one was IBM. I just smile when I think of that. Now I'm going to go fast because that took up a lot of time. But thank you for letting me share my brother with you here. And I'm going to jump into empowerment. I always use sports as my adrenaline rush. I like goals, I like start lines, I like finish lines. And I didn't know what I was thinking back then. Maybe it was my brother. But I decided to run a marathon. My first was Chicago. I was at the start line with all my chants. The hardest part is getting to the start line. Trust in your training. And I used many, many words of profanity as I chanted that until the 35K mark. And then I knew I would make it. I had 7K to go. I could run 7 kilometers. That's empowerment of sport. And in Chicago, in the last 500 meters, it's lined with stadium seating. And there's hundreds of people in the stands. And I remember turning that corner and into that last 500 meters and hearing so much cheering, insane cheering, like crazy cheering. And I literally looked around and wondered, who are they cheering for? Who's back here at the slow pack, at the back of the pack? And then it hit me. They were cheering for me, an athlete among thousands. That is the empowerment you get within a community. That is what I say sport is. And finally and quickly, I'm looking at my time. I want to cycle into impact and well-being. There is no question sport, any and all sport, from walking to cycling to running to gardening, plays a vital role in one's well-being. That is a 1-in-1 ratio. It's indisputable. My running, I play tennis, I long gave up basketball, were anchors to my well-being in life. Hard days, good days, challenging days. It also ended up saving my life.
Senator Hay, I'll have to interrupt. Would you like some more time to finish your, I have to ask leave to, if you want.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Yes, you'd like more time. Is leave granted, honourable senators?
2 minutes. Thank you, colleagues. I was training again to do the work, to get to that start line. I got a bib for Berlin. I know how to train, or I knew how to train. My body knew what to do. I had to, I'd run at least 100 half marathons, 10 solid full ones, Dublin being my 10th. That city knows how to party when they do marathons. And I thought, well, maybe I'm just working too hard. My shoes, maybe they needed replacing. The days were cold, something was off, just wasn't right. I used to leave my home in Mississauga and run to Union Station and take the train back. That was training. Now I was struggling to get my groove going. I even had to take the train back from Long Branch. Those of you in Toronto know that's only 2-3 stops from my home. I couldn't go further. That's when I decided to get checked, go to the doctor, get a blood test or something. Nothing much came of it yet. I was now starting to not even run 7 kilometers, which was always my marker in a race, if you remember. Another couple trips to the doctor, a few more tests, and my marathoning days were definitely over. To be honest, at that moment, I went, all right, I'm done with that, thank you. But my health journey began. And had I not been training, I may have not noticed that things were not right. I may have not made actually the fall of that year, according to my doctors. Training for a marathon probably did not save my life. My doctors did that. But I always actually wonder if not for sport. Now I run a much more normal distance. My long runs are, you guessed it, 7 kilometers or so. My chronic health issue is now part of my life, and that is totally okay because I know intimately the vital role physical activity and sport will have on my well-being today and hopefully long into my future. So when someone asks, is being appointed to the Senate as a senator a lifetime appointment? I always say, I sure hope not. Thank you for indulging me in my journey with sport. I thank Senators McBean and Deakin and Senatrice Petitclerc for your leadership and for your kindness. I've never really shared much of this with anybody outside my tribe. So my advice to all of you, get out there, get moving, lean into something, run, walk, jump, cycle, garden. I guarantee you'll find community, you'll feel better, you'll thrive, it'll impact your life. Merci beaucoup, Chi Miigwech. Thank you.